My name's Celeste, I'm here from Readings, and I get to introduce this wonderful event. So before we get started, there's some housekeeping. First things first, we've already done amazingly. You're all standing around, it's brilliant. We've got so many books over here for anyone to purchase, and there will be a signing just next to there. So you can just buy your book, shuffle on over, get it signed. And so before we get started, I'll be doing the acknowledgement of country. So the land that we're on this evening is land of the Kulin Nation. I think it's really interesting that we're coming here to have a conversation about storytelling, particularly verbal storytelling, because it's a tradition that's been carried on here, in particular as a meeting place, for thousands of years. So I'd just like to say thank you, now that we get to be a part of a new history on this land as well, to share gratitude and to also understand that we get to celebrate a tradition that has been happening here over and over. And I'd like to acknowledge that sovereignty's never been ceded, and just say I'd like to send my respects out to elders past, present and emerging. And now, we know what we're all here for. I can feel the excitement, so I'm going to need a big round of applause once we get started. We are here for the debut book of Jonathan Karagiannis. Can we get a bit of a round of applause? I'm going to pleasure of passing off to Dean here, who will start with you to host the event.
Thank you.
I think one more round of applause.
Thanks everyone so much for joining us tonight at Readings to celebrate the launch of the Mega Plan, the thrilling first instalment in the end of the era series by the incredibly talented Jonathan Karagiannis. It's always exciting when a new voice breaks into the literary scene, but it's especially meaningful tonight when a voice comes with a powerful story, deep themes, a fresh perspective on conflict, history and the human condition, all of which Jonathan brings in abundance. Tonight is more than about launching of a book. It's about recognising a passion, a journey, talent, and a beginning of what promises to be a remarkable career in writing. So who better to guide us through that journey with the author himself? Jonathan, thank you. You nervous, John?
Well, a little bit, but most of all, I'm really excited. So.
What's the rule? Think of everyone naked. I did well until I saw your father. So, Jono, first of all, a sincere, on behalf of everyone, sincere congratulations. I think it would be appropriate for you to talk to us all and tell the crowd a bit about yourself, what you've studied, what you're currently studying, and importantly, when you first realised that you had a passion and a skill for writing.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. So I guess I've always wanted to be, I've always loved stories and telling stories. I remember when I was really young, I used to draw these comic books at school, and I used to, really love, telling stories in that sense. But yeah, it's now at the moment I'm currently studying at ACU. I'm doing theology, Bachelor of Theology, major in Biblical Studies. And I also have a degree in arts at Monash, a major in archaeology. But yeah, all these interests I have and studies, I have all gone into this book. And it's not my first book that I've written. I've written a lot of other stories in the past, like, my teenage years really. But yeah, I've always loved writing stories. It's been just a hobby of mine.
How much longer to go at uni?
Well, I think I've got until the end of next year, so.
You finish with 4 degrees in a thermometer, or is that where we're heading?
Well, look, I really enjoy research, especially in archaeology and biblical studies. So I'll probably end up at university, I guess, as a career, hopefully, as a professor.
So archaeology. A little birdie tells me that you could be flying overseas next week. Do you want to tell everyone what the plan is?
Yes, next week I'll be flying overseas to my first excavation for a university program. So that will be incredible. So yeah.
At least someone I know offered to carry your bags for you. Importantly, what books or genre has inspired you to write the Mega Plan, and were there any specific authors or stories that gave you inspiration along the way?
Yeah, so Mega Plan is fantasy science fiction, so that's a massive genre. Specifically, my biggest inspiration for this series and this book is the really well-known fantasy author Brandon Sanderson. He's massive in terms of he's really prolific in his books that he sells. But basically, he writes epic fantasy on large scale, like a lot of characters, a lot of deep themes, and incredible magic systems, incredible lore. That sort of type of story, you'll get that sort of flavor in the Omega Plan and also in the series. What's also interesting, there's also some TV shows and films that have inspired me as well. The X-Files especially, the conspiracy and that sort of stuff especially inspired this book. There were a few films that inspired me as well. Denis Villeneuve, who is the director known for Arrival and Dune, his older films, as a lot of them touch on similar themes as this book does. So it was really large collection of inspiration, really.
John, I think for those that don't know, maybe tell the crowd how old you are nowadays.
Yeah, so currently I'm 23. There's that.
Okay, so I've known you since you were about 3 months old. And I must say, in the reading that I've done, the vocab in the book is probably the most broad and rich that I've ever seen. So where do you think that came from, that level of vocab?
A lot of reading. Like, you need to read widely, and you need to also, if you want to develop a vocabulary and if you want to write a story, I sort of forced myself to write a vocabulist. So I read a book, I found it interesting, well, what does this mean? I don't know what it means. Searched it up, it's a cool word, I might use that. And I just had this list, and I guess over time, naturally, you develop a vocabulary that is suited when you're writing, because sometimes these words like I use in the book, you wouldn't normally use them in real life. But
no, Dr. Google came on my phone. For those on Jonathan's mailing list, he recently sent out a glossary, and you'll need it. But it's of great help, so I encourage you to get onto that mailing list.
A lot of world building, ancient terms, places, characters.
Oh, Gaelic, I was surprised at the Gaelic as well. I was impressed, particularly with my Irish heritage and my Greek as well, clearly. So Jono, for those who haven't read the book yet, maybe could you give us a 30-second brief summary without giving too much away, so we still have plenty of time?
I'll try. 30 seconds is a bit short, but yeah, so basically the premise is there's these two secret societies who are planning to prepare humanity for an alien invasion. In these societies, there's the Cabal, which I think of the Illuminati basically, and then there's the Alliance, which they're in an arms race basically to prepare humanity for this ancient enemy. And their schemes have entangled the lives of four main characters. Ben DePaula, who is a Marine captain and also is a Hollywood star as well. James Casbolt, who is a super soldier, demigod, really cool character. Joshua, who was an ex-con man, who becomes a person of faith. And a trafficked demigod woman named Tara. So these are four main characters you'll be following in the book, and basically, premise is secret societies, alien invasion, manipulation of politics and international sort of affairs.
Sounds like a usual day in the office to me. Jono, your favourite character and why?
Yes, I'll have to say Joshua. I think I like him because I think we sort of have similar interests. Like if he was here today, we would just be talking forever about theology and history and just all that. So he's a nerd. But I also really like him because he's the character that is like really the moral core of the story. So you meet him as just this really competent but just slimy and deceptive character. You know, he's con after con, deceiving people. And his life changes, and in prison he becomes a Christian. And throughout the book you follow him facing challenges. He really likes just being at home, just studying, just reading books and all that stuff. But he's forced into a world full of violence and conflict, and the way he navigates it is, I just really enjoy writing his struggles, and I think I'll be good friends with him if he's right.
Okay, meeting. What about the hardest character, John? What would be the hardest character for you to write about?
It has to be Tara. So she's a sexually abused, trafficked woman. So again, this is really difficult topics to talk about, and also to write about, because I had to do some research into those topics and to listen to people who have gone through really traumatic experiences. And honestly, when writing about her, it's, I guess, the darkest things I've ever written. But yeah, like going through her struggles, and I guess it's not just because she's a woman. I think it's just the struggles that she's gone through. It was quite difficult to confront, and but she was also really interesting, just to get a different perspective, to listen, just to get into the mind of a victim of terrible circumstances is really, I guess, eye-opening.
Yep, that's pretty deep. But appropriate, John. I guess it'd be good to know how long it took you to write the book, Jonathan, and what challenges you faced along the way. Particularly, I know a few, which I might prompt you on if you don't go.
Yeah, well, look, it was a long, arduous, rough writing process. So, like, it began in 2020 during lockdown. I had plenty of time on my hands, so I started writing during that time. Originally, it was meant to be a TV show script, but that didn't work, so I was like, let's just write a novel. I wrote the first draft by the end of 2021. Absolute disaster. I had to rewrite it again, so I have lost count how many times I had to rewrite this book. Many drafts, but this is debut novel. You've got to keep on writing and perfecting it, really. And an editor to edit it, proofread. Went to give it to a publisher. They accepted it. We signed a contract, and they went broke basically, and we had to start again. We had to look for another publisher, and Akira Publishing. Scott, who's the imprint of Akira, they picked it up, and I'm really grateful for them, and here we are today.
Jono, for a 23-year-old, I know for a fact that you put a lot of your hard-earned money behind this before you got to this point. So,
and my parents.
And your parents. I mean, not your father, it was your mother, but no, well done to you. Like, hats off. Yeah, it's mature beyond years. Yeah. I also have heard that when you first started writing, you weren't planning to write a book, but more a TV or movies. Is that right?
Yeah. Initially, that's what was my plan. That was in high school. I had the ideas of this book were simming in my head during high school, and I feel like I just wanted to write it as a TV show. So maybe because I was a bit lazy in the sense of like, a little bit easy to just write, the script really. But again, I don't know if at the moment I would want to have it as a movie. I guess I have to wait and see. I mean, if it does, if someone wants to take it up, who knows? That would be great. But,
yes, take it up.
But yeah, ideally I would love to see a TV show because.
Any producers?
Yeah.
We can sort that out, John. So would you be Joshua? Is that who you'd be?
Oh, Joshua is Turkish, so and he's got long curly hair, so I guess.
Okay, so I'll do him, yeah. So, I was intrigued by the setting of a mega plan in the 2003 Iraq War, John. You were pretty young back then. What made you choose that period as a backdrop?
Well, it's interesting because plot-wise, there are three main events that really intrigued me, I guess, in my research or just, in my spare time. I found that was quite interesting. So, what happened in that period in 2003? Obviously, you got the big war for America and Saddam Hussein and war against the terrorists. But really, what intrigued me was there was this archaeological site called Uruk, which is one of the first cities ever in the ancient world. It's well known in famous literature. There was an article that came out that said that a tomb was uncovered of this ancient god king named Gilgamesh from the Epic of Gilgamesh. It proved it wasn't true, but I thought to myself, what if they actually did find this thing? What if the secret societies were looking for it? And that sort of sparked ideas in my head. The second thing why I chose Iraq is during the war, the Baghdad Museum was looted, unfortunately, and again, imagination firing. Like, what if the secret societies were also trying to? What if there was artifacts that they needed that might help them in this conspiracy against this alien invasion? So again, that's another reason why I chose Iraq. And the third one is Haditha Dam, which is a very strategic location for the US. There's a hydroelectric dam, helped them to basically gain a good foothold in the war. I wouldn't want to get into why Haditha Dam is really important because that would spoil the plot, but the battle at Haditha Dam is really important as well. So yeah, there's a lot of factors of why I chose Iraq, but yeah, it's really interesting time period.
Indeed. So clearly, a mega plan is just the beginning of the end series. So, can you tell us what the end refers to? My worry is that it's possibly linked to the biblical apocalypse, but can you give us any hints on where that's heading?
Yeah, I'll try to be brief here because this is like a lecture, really. Okay, so the end is it's referring to the end that is referred to in the Bible, especially it's described in the book of Revelation. Basically, the end is the return of Jesus Christ, the return of new creation, where the heavens and the earth become one, and it's basically the return to the beginning, where the Garden of Eden. So really, the end of the world, when you've got this idea of like this apocalypse. I don't even like using that word apocalypse really, but think of annihilationism and the destruction of the world and nuclear dystopias and all that. That's not the sort of end that the Bible or the series is going to be talking about. There will be conflicts, there will be disasters, but it's all leading towards this return to the beginning. The end is about that return to that ideal place where humanity and the divine are together. And yeah, that's a lot to unpack there, but I'll try and move on from there. But yeah, basically the apocalypse, again, it's not talking about destruction. It's basically the word in Greek just means unveiling or revealing, hence revelation. So basically what I'm trying to do in this series is to reveal secrets, the truths about reality, for characters' realities, and I'll probably stop there because I can go over tangents, but
let's go to the next step, Jonathan. Do you have a favourite passage from the book that maybe, if you wanted to read from the prologue or an excerpt from the book,
sure,
that you wanted to sort of share with everyone here tonight?
Yeah, so I thought about this. So there's a really, I think, in the prologue, so this is a scene where basically you start in the Stone Age, but this is from the perspective of the Archangel Michael. And he's observing the destruction and just absolute hopelessness of humanity when he sees the fallen angels who rebelled against God being judged. And he's reflecting on how hopeless humanity has become, and he's questioning what is God going to do? What are we going to do about this mess? So I think it captures just the overarching story of the whole series, and it also captures the themes that this book is going to explore. So I'll read. Now that they have been given great responsibility to rule, they have defiled their promise of loyal love. Now that they have turned from face to face, they sought their own desires, good to their eyes, to make them wise. Now that they have fallen to this abominable sin, they might took pain and pain. They might took might and pain. The holy Garden of Eden descended into the grave, until bitterness and torment remains. Where shall humanity dwell then? Now that they shed blood, the land shall be flooded with blood. Now shall the number of humanity's days be shortened. Independence of human heart is so easily corrupted, falling short to recognizing their depravity, from sorrow to violence. When will they see this, and desiring to return, take life? I'll stop there.
Good work, John. I'm sure everyone here tonight and the accountants at Readings are pretty keen to know from you when Volume 2 is coming out.
Oh yes, so my publisher has announced that Volume 2 will be out in October 16th this year. Basically, Volume 2 is just the second half of this novel. This is just one half of Omega Plan. The book was really big. The publisher said, I think you need to cut this into 2 parts. So basically getting a half a novel, but don't worry, you're going to get part 2 coming out at the end of the year. So
Get your credit cards ready.
October 16th.
And I know that there's a lot more in store, so Jonathan, so can you share with us the status of the other books within the Era of the End series?
I mean, status is in progress. Yeah, so at the moment I'm actually going over, I don't know, like, I've written so many drafts for the second book that's coming out, the second in the series. I'm currently going through that and tightening up some scenes and rewriting certain parts of it. But book 2 is almost pretty much done. I don't know when I'll send that to the publisher to be edited, but who knows, we'll see how it goes. I've written a really rough first draft for the third book, but I've got like a whole OneDrive of files of all the planning and all the documents I have just to plan the book. For all the other books, I've got this vague plan in my mind of where I want them to go. Basic points in the map, really. I've got these ideas, I've got all these word docs of all these ideas and plan of where to go. But really, at the moment I'm working through the second book. That book is called Rising Darkness. And yeah, it's going to be longer than Omega Plan. So
You are 23 years old, you're getting pretty old. So do you see yourself being a lifelong author as we sit here today?
I guess, as a hobby, I'll definitely love to write on the side. I do have future books in mind after the Era of the End series. I guess mainly it's based off my just interest in ancient history and archaeology. So the future books are basically going to be based in ancient times. So I've always wanted to write a book that is a biblical story in its ancient setting. And so, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see.
Good work. I guess we're tight on time tonight, but before we wrap up, if anyone had any questions for Jonathan, we're happy to take questions unprompted. There's a few up there. There's a few.
So I've started reading the book, so I can feel that there's a lot of the mystical creatures interacting with the real world, and it's actually quite really interesting. I'm actually visualising it at the same time, so it feels like I'm actually going along with the journey. So it's actually, even someone like me who's not really into reading novels, I certainly am enjoying it. So I really pop those who think they're not novel readers to give it a shot. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. It's more like a opinion.
What inspired you to write this book?
Oh, yes, what inspired me? Well, I guess it's just doing a lot of reading, really. A lot of reading. I guess my passion for just theology and storytelling, and yeah, I don't know, it's quite strange to what inspired me. There's a lot of things that inspired me, but basically all I can really say is just this. I just felt passion. I just felt like I wanted to write a story. Yeah, I'm gonna have to explain it.
Probably got one more question because I'm getting the hurry on.
So how did you feel when you finished the book that you were writing?
Yeah, it's quite a surreal feeling. I remember when I first finished the first draft, even the first draft that was quite terrible, I felt so satisfied. I was like, this is it. I mean, I felt like a great relief, because like, obviously you're working on the book, you want to get it finished, and yeah, a lot of relief, and yeah, a lot of joy as well, excitement. It's like a lot of excitement. So yeah, it's a strange feeling to finish the first book, and yeah, have it here today. It's
Here we are. Good question. I do apologise, we do have to hurry up.
One more question.
Oh, I beg your pardon, sorry.
Sorry, dude. Jono, congratulations. Do you have any advice for any young writers out there?
yes. I would just say just write whatever. Like, doesn't have to be good. Just say if you have a story, something interesting, just write it. Doesn't have to be professional, poetic. And also I recommend reading. If you like a certain genre, go ahead and read books in that genre. And if you want to write in that genre, I said read in that genre, write that story that you want to write, and just write. And make sure you finish that story. Because a lot of people start writing and then they just sort of give up at the end, in the middle. So I was like, no, just finish the story. And it doesn't have to be a big novel, it can be a short story, whatever you want to write, just write.
Well said. Just before we close up and do some housekeeping, I guess, Jonathan, importantly for you, is there anyone that you'd like to thank and acknowledge along the way for your journey as to how we sit here tonight?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start off thanking my parents, my wonderful, loving parents who supported me from the beginning. So I don't know where I'll be without them, where this book would be without them. I want to thank Readings, especially for hosting this wonderful event. And I want to thank Akira Publishing, who helped get this book out. And I'll thank everyone here, especially your family, friends, relatives, for coming. Thank you so much. It's really appreciated. But most of all, I guess I want to thank God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, who is the author of all things. And without what God has done in history and in my life and many people's lives, I don't think I would have written this story. This story wouldn't have its substance if it wasn't for God. So I give thanks to everyone. Thank you so much, everyone.
So we can wrap up. Jonathan, thanks for your time and your insights tonight. We're all very proud of you and well done. if we'd known, we probably should have charged tonight, in all honesty, because we would have been okay. But ladies and gents, thanks for your time tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. So the book is on sale here behind the counter. There's some merch and Jonathan will sign that and have a chat and whatever else you need. And on behalf of Jonathan and his family, everyone's invited to TGI Fridays for a drink. And if you have time, of course, and congratulations, I know there's a few coming. But yeah, lastly, I think everyone here tonight is extremely proud of Jonathan, and I think we should give him another round of applause for his efforts. Wish Jonathan all the very best, and we'll see you later, and many pleasure, Jonathan. Well done.
So much of that. So thanks everyone. So also a thank you to Dean, who well done, mate. That was fantastic. So Jono's going to sign all the books up there. So for those who have already purchased books and want them signed, yeah, Jono's going to give you a brief signature. So again, thank you very much, and Jonathan, congratulations. We're all very proud of you, particularly Mum and Dad and your brothers. So well done.